Welcome everybody, my name is Maria. I work for the sanitation districts of LA County, and today I will be kicking off the live tour of Bixby Marshland. For those of you not familiar with our Bixby tours, the sanitation districts has been hosting these tours since 2009, always on the first Saturday of March, rain or shine. And obviously due to the pandemic, the marsh is closed, but we try to do the next best thing, which is to bring you Bixby to you. So thank you for joining us. Before we start, I want to just take care of a couple of housekeeping rules. Just know that this broadcast is being recorded, and I'll put in the chat our YouTube channel so you can come back and check it out later on. For any questions, make sure you use Zoom's Q&A feature, and also I'll be also providing information on the chat. So let's get started. I know I said it's going to be a live tour, but we're going to start with a couple of little PowerPoint slides just to give us a little perspective of where we are. And also know this is a live tour, so a lot of what we see depends on the time of day, the time of year, what the animals feel like cooperating. So we're going to try to do our best to show you everything that we can show you. So with that, let's just start with our little PowerPoints. So we are standing right here on Bixby Marsh, which is right here at the southwest intersection of Sepulveda and Figueroa. You can see the 110 freeway is right here. And this is a 17-acre marshland that the sanitation districts is responsible for. Now you may ask yourself, why is the sanitation districts involved with the marshland? Well, the marshland is right next to our joint water pollution control plant, which is our largest wastewater treatment facility that the sanitation districts owns and operates. Now, as we can see from here, we're very close to the ocean, over 7 miles from the ocean, and we see this large park body of water over here. That's Ken Malloy Park. This whole area, in fact, used to be part of a larger freshwater marsh called the Bixby Slough. And what we see here is this is from an older picture from the 40s. You can see just how much bigger the marsh used to be, which over time, as the area got more populated, it has shrunk to what we have now. Now, when we think of marshlands, we usually think of water, and that's true, but the marsh actually has 3 different parts, if you will. We have the aquatic part, which is the water body, riparian, which is kind of like the in between the water and the land. So it's kind of think of like the moist land in between, and the upland, which is the drier part. And as you can see from this exhibit, the kinds of plants that we have kind of vary where we are along the marsh, and then also the animals also vary. So today we're going to cover all 3. Now, one of the cool things of virtual tours is that we can show you kind of a live feel, which we will in a minute, and also an overview. So this video right here is going to show us what we're going to see. If you were to come to Bixby, you would be just drive into our parking lot, which we see here, and then we have these paths for you to just walk on your own and kind of take in nature. We see some of the tall trees. That's part of our riparian habitat. Here we have our path, and I promise you there is water when we get closer. So we keep on seeing just beautiful trees, all kinds of grasses and flowers, plants. And now we get to our bridge. So here's our water. Here's the actual water part of the marsh. So with that, I am so happy to send you to live from Bixby is my friend Basil Hewitt. Basil, we are coming to you. You're going to be our eyes and ears and nose and mouth. Show us Bixby Marshland.
All right, thank you, Maria. And I'm going to start by whispering. When the marsh is open, folks come in usually first Saturday of the month from 8 to noon through those gates, and you're looking at the parking lot here. And I'm whispering because we already have guests, and it's not Genesis, who will also be chiming in with close-up shots of things we see here. But we found a predatory bird right in the parking lot. This 17-acre marshland we've seen over 70 different bird species. Can you see that bird in the tree?
And if you spotlight me, I just took a photo.
And that's
Okay,
Genesis.
yes, I'm going to spotlight Genesis right now. Wow. Cool. For our members of the audience, if you want to call out what the bird is, please let us know. We want to hear what you have to say. Guys, do you want to tell us what it is? Look at that.
In the chat or?
Sure. I'm going to check the chat right now. No, I think everybody's being a little shy.
Oh, someone has their hand up.
Oh, yes. Cooper's Hawk. That's right. Robin, thank you. Mark Rowlands, thank you.
Yeah.
Cooper's Hawk. That's right.
Cooper's
Awesome.
Hawk.
All right.
Back to our regular scheduled programming, unless Genesis has caught anything else on her camera. So we're right here in the parking lot. So people pull up and park and just go for 15 minutes moment of nature as we walk through the parking lot. Pardon, Maria?
No, we have a raised hand. We're gonna let Mitch ask his question. If that's okay.
Okay. And I'll
Mitch,
do my indoor voice.
Mitch, I'm gonna unmute you right now. Oh, did Mitch get shy? Okay. Okay, well, moving on. Let's go.
Can you see the hawk? He's staring at me. Hopefully he doesn't think I'm right. Can you see him?
Yeah, he's right there.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And he has a nest, or she has a nest close by. It's in this tree and standing guard. So when you enter the marshland, the 17-acre marshland, as Maria said, there are three different types of distinct ecosystems here in the 17 acres. And Sanitation District is really proud of regenerating it, rehabilitating this marshland, because you see it's just teeming with all types of habitat, and it's a great resource for folks who just want to come out and see nature. It's right off the 110 freeway, as Maria said. So you would walk into the marsh, and I'm going to speed up a little so we can get right into.
Hi, this is Nathan Hike.
Oh, hey Nathan.
How's it going? I'm a sanitation district's employee, and I'm here to help out with the bird identification. That bird you're hearing right now is a song sparrow, and Claire made a comment about the Cooper's hawk that the Cooper's hawks in their area have reddish bellies. That's because those are adults, and this one is a juvenile.
Okay, so that's a baby Cooper's hawk. So that means it was probably born and raised here, Nathan? Is that a good assumption?
I can't say too much right now. It might. I mean, I'd have to.
Well, I'll give you the other assumption. That means there's food here. That's why it's living here. All right, and then I want to point out a couple of features at Marshland. You notice the bench. So Sanitation District tries to recycle as much as we can, and you'll see that even here in Bixby Marshland. These benches throughout the marshland are made from recycled plastic. And as we head in, and you can hear the songbirds. Oh, so that isn't wood that the bench is made of. It's made of plastic, recycled plastic. And as we head in, before we see a majestic tree, I don't know if you can notice the cone on the tree. And this is Maria knows a lot more than I do.
This is the famous Tory Pine. Tory Pines are actually very, very cool trees. They're actually endangered, and they're very local to the La Jolla area. If you've been over there, you might hear Tory Pine reserves. That's because they're trying to protect the Tory Pine population. In North America, there's only 2 patches of Tory Pines, the one in La Jolla and one up in Santa Rosa. So we're actually very fortunate that we have a Tory Pines right here. From what I've heard is maybe they were trying to preserve the Tory Pine and they brought some over to this part of town. Tory Pines are very resilient trees. They tend to, really they're tough trees. And when we think of pines, we think of Christmas trees, they kind of point upwards, but the Tory Pine is kind of known because they kind of have an open top, they spread out.
have a picture of it if you want to see
Oh,
it.
cool. Yes,
Yeah.
I'll spotlight you.
Yeah.
There we go. That's a cone on the
Oh,
Tory pine.
wow.
Can we zoom into one of the needles on the Tory pine?
Yeah, hold on.
Anything. I got it right here. You
Okay,
spotlight
sure.
me.
Let's go to Basil. Okay, so Tory pines also have one of the longest needles for any pine tree. So that's another way you can tell apart a Tory pine. And also really cool, if you zoom in, Basil, can you see how each little bundle of pines, there's 5 little needles, like each little branch coming off? It splits
Oh,
off
you
into
mean
5.
like, oh, I see it. I see it. Let me do a deal here. No trees or plants were
Yeah, you see, each little bundle
hurt.
kind of splits off and it turns into 5 little needles. That's very specific to the Tory pine. So we are actually very, very lucky to have Tory pines here.
Oh, very cool. There's about 28 of them here
Yeah,
at Bixby.
out of
So as
3,000.
you walk in, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just say out of
Out of
3,000
3,000.
in North America, we have 28 here at Bixby Marsh.
Wow. And as you walk in, the first stop, you'd see an educational placard. And it kind of, I don't know if you can see that.
Yes, we can.
It's kind of everything you'd want to know about what a marshland is and the different ecosystems here and the different trees that you'll see along your walk. And also, if you notice, this is the rendering. So when the marsh was being, right here, was being rejuvenated, we hired a consulting firm to help us regrade and really bring this marsh flat. And these were the renderings before the marsh, the rejuvenated marsh was a reality, and it opened in 2009. All right.
Also, can I point out how if
ahead.
you look at the water, the marsh is not just like an open pond. It actually kind of like segues like a river, and there's actually a purpose to that, because the marshes are they're known as the kidneys of the landscape. So as the water flows through, it kind of like filters out the water and the clean water moves forward. So I love that picture because it shows us that.
And if I can point out, the water comes in right here,
Mhm.
and then goes all the way out and then comes back out. If you can see that. That comes in from the local stormwater drain, and then it comes and it meanders through the marshland and it gets clean. So I'll continue my walk. And then this is like trying to stump Maria, because she knows a lot more than I do.
No.
But the next plant, the next plant, I think I want to say this is a lemonade berry. And correct me.
A lemonberry?
Lemonade berry, yeah. Tree.
Lemonade berries, they have these really thick, waxy leaves. Can you go back and touch it and tell us if that's what it feels like?
I'll zoom in on. Can you see that?
Oh, cool. So lemon berries, you can actually eat them. They may not taste so good right now, but you can actually make lemonade out of it, or you can just eat them as is. Did you try one, Basil?
I was about to, but it's pretty sticky. I picked one, and it's pretty. I think Genesis is up to trying it. And
So
it's
one of
pretty
the cool,
flavorful.
oh, cool. One of the great things about the marsh is that it's a full sensory experience. You can hear things. We hear birds right now. You can smell things. You can try things. You can touch things. It's very visual. So that's one of the beauties that a marsh can offer. You know, anybody who's there enjoying it. Did the lemon berry smell like lemon or berries?
Yeah, I
You know
think
what?
so.
It actually smelled very citrusy and like sweet. It smelled very, very sweet. Almost like if sugar had an actual scent.
Very
And
cool.
it has like this little white milk coming out of it.
All right.
Yeah. It has like this little white juice, but it smells very, very sweet.
Very nice. All right, Basil, keep going.
All right. And you can stop me. Here's another interesting plant, and I'm gonna zoom in on the leaves.
I want to
I
say
think
that
that's.
Go ahead, Basil.
Go ahead. I was going to be tested. I was going to say that's sycamore. Did I get that right?
Wait, I have a question from Kate. Wait, no, Kate. I thought Kate had a question.
Okay.
But that's okay. I think that's actually a cottonwood tree. I don't know. Maybe our members of our audience can fact check this for us. But just because it has this kind of like spade round leaf, I don't see anybody contradicting.
Yeah, someone said cottonwood.
Cottonwood, okay, yes.
Oh,
So cottonwoods are really
okay.
cool because they survive floods and droughts. And actually, this is just, I wish I could show you guys, but if you cut a cottonwood branch at the right place, there's a little star in the middle, right on the center. So just, I don't know, I think it's amazing that you have this like shapes out in nature.
I
One
took a
thing,
picture of a similar one, by the way.
let me see. I'm gonna spotlight you right now.
Can anyone identify? Is that cottonwood as well?
One cool thing about cottonwood is you see what this little white fluff looking thing is. That's the way that the trees reproduce. They kind of have this dandelion cotton substance that when the wind comes, it sends the seeds out. So I may say this may be a female tree. We have some questions.
That's a willow tree.
Oh, that's a willow. Okay, yeah, you're right. It's the long needles. It's the same principle too. It's like the fluff. Since we're talking, oh, go ahead, Nathan.
Whenever it's March or April and there's fluff flying around, it's a cottonwood and willow trees.
Can we zoom into the willow? Can we see the willow?
Is it just
The actual willow tree?
Well, I was just going to talk about how willows are very popular in marshes. So if you're ever, I'll zoom into to Basil. If you're ever stranded and you can't find water, but you see a willow, you'll know that there's water nearby because they will only show up around water, I would say. And
is this it right here?
Yes. One cool thing about the willow too is that it's actually where aspirin comes from. So the bark, it has medicinal properties, salicylic acid. So it acts like aspirin, and it's been used, for centuries to from medicinal purposes. So that's really cool. And again, because it's a marsh, a tree you find in marsh. If you have a little branch and it kind of gets swept away, it can grow roots and become a new willow tree.
And the tree I was looking at was this one. So I think can you see that? That was one I thought was a.
So the cottonwood, I think the cottonwood has the round, or it could be a grape, I can't tell. But the willows have the long leaves.
Yeah.
This one has more round leaves. Yeah, I think they're right next to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of times you'll see the cottonwoods towards the drier part of the riparian habitat. It depends, but I had a summer job one time watching endangered birds, and in the drier part of the river would just be cottonwoods, but the willows would primarily be in the wetter areas.
Yeah, and in the marsh, even though it's compact, these trees are upgraded. They're pretty far from the water body itself, the water that's coming in. And I'm going to walk towards the water.
And while you do that, Tony asked, what camera equipment are you using for the virtual tour? I'm using a Canon Rebel T6, and I'm connecting to Zoom using a USB HDMI connector.
Cool.
And honestly, we're learning as we do this. We just want to make sure people see and appreciate the marshland.
We want to get you the live experience.
Yeah, we can't wait to open back up. The second educational stop is this placard deals with the recycling at the marsh. And just kind of tells you about the different things that have been recycled, the plastic, the eucalyptus, even the parking stops, if you can see there, are eucalyptus trees that were removed. And instead of just throwing them away, we turned them into parking stops.
We have a question from Andrew. He says, you mentioned how these trees release fluff. Would that impact people with allergies or those with sensitive noses in the community?
I don't know if Nathan, I'm not sure what the answer to that is.
I don't have a certain answer, but I would assume yes.
Okay.
Thank you for the question, Andrew. Yeah, I would assume so, but there's so many. I mean, I know this is just where Bixby's at. There's no near homes. The facility, so kind of the facility is surrounded by Bixby, surrounded by our facilities as well, and it's a very commercial area. And then you have the freeway on the other side. So it could. I've never heard of anybody complaining about allergies.
If
Not
there
that
are
it
no
hasn't
more
happened.
questions. Okay. Yeah, I'm not. I have some allergies, but I'm usually fine here. I want to point out another set of plants here. And a lot of times, when I first came here, I used to think this was a sunflower. But Maria corrected me on what this flower is.
It's
What is
the
this?
it's the California brittle bush. It looks like a little tiny sunflower. It's really cool. So this is actually one of the food sources for animals here at Bixby. You can eat it, but if it's out in the open, animals can eat it out there too. What's really cool is that these plants bloom twice a year, so we're lucky to have it here at Bixby, and we have actually 317 of these brushes out in here in our Bixby Marsh.
And there's a whole mess of them, technical
Yes.
term, at the marsh. If you can see almost this field of brittle bush,
Right.
and they're little birds bouncing, jumping through.
We have a question from that says, do you guys do the plastic wood recycling on site, like the park bench material?
No. I think we went through a vendor where we purchased material to recycle. We can recover plastic at some of our facilities, but we don't have the capability of converting it into that plastic wood. And
Oh.
I think this is a lemonade berry. Is this what?
It looks like, oh, we're gonna spotlight Genesis right now for a little bit. She has an awesome shot of the California brittle bush. There it
I
is.
just wanted to show you if the California brittle bush had a social media, this would be her portrait photo. So there you go. All right, back to you, Basil.
All right, so
Thank
back
you.
to Basil.
So as we walk towards the water body, there are different stops. So you notice there's a pavilion here, and the poles in the pavilion are made from recycled eucalyptus that were taken out, and the vegetation on top, which is dormant right now, it's not dead, is California grape. I see a couple of the grapes, the leaves coming back, and as you come back later in the year, this thing will be verdant. It will be full of leaves, and there'll be grapes that they're tasty, but they're a little bitter. So California grape. And then you can also notice so when students come here with their classes, they can have lunch on those at those benches. So when we're open to the public, we encourage students and classes to come here. Anything you'd want to add about this, Maria?
Well, I think you mentioned it, but yes, right now it's dormant, but the California desert grape would be hanging out from here, and everyone likes to pick off and eat a little bit of it. It's a great it's beautiful, and actually some of the vines have actually spread to different parts of the marsh as well, and I assume that they're dormant as well. Oh, just a second.
Hey, I have to interrupt. I saw a bird right above Basil's head.
All right, spot.
That's not a rare occurrence here at the marsh. You see.
Okay,
Go
so
ahead.
this one's a little fuzzy, but there's another bird that I saw too. But does anyone know what kind of bird this is? And I'm sorry, it's a little fuzzy. I took it as fast as I could.
All right, let's check the chat. Let's check our bird fans out here. Does anybody know? Yellow rumped warbler from
Okay,
JR and Claire.
awesome. And then I also have this other one that I took at another tree right nearby Basil.
Okay, let's. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Oh,
Is that the same bird?
Yes, it is.
I guess I'm a.
Well, the same
Can I say I'm
species.
it's the same species. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And-
awesome.
And that makes sense. When you cut back to me, whenever Genesis is done,
I'm going right now.
No, no rush. There's yellow tape here, and usually our maintenance crew, they put this yellow tape here, not because something untowards occurred here, it's usually an indication that there's some type of bird nesting here. So that's why I can't get closer to the pavilion.
So I did a little more research on willow pollen.
Uh-huh.
It
Thank
says
you, Nick.
willow pollen elicits a strong allergic response, but willows tend to be pollinated more by insects than by wind, so they're not dispersing as much pollen as other trees.
Oh, okay.
The white stuff is really it's used to disperse the seeds after the seeds have been formed. The wind will blow there's a little seed inside the white fluff, and it's like hairs, and the wind will blow the seeds to move them farther away from the parent tree.
All right. And I'm going to really use my inside voice now. I'm approaching the bridge over our water body, and there are two large birds perched on the railing of the bridge. I don't know if you can see it, or Genesis, can you focus in a little? I want to say they're geese. Can you see those, Nathan? Is it not? Am I not close enough?
Well,
Uh,
They're,
they're too small to be geese.
oh, they look pretty big to me.
Well, I guess I'd have to see it better.
Maybe we can get a close up from Genesis.
Genesis, can you get a close up of these two birds?
Okay, going. Oh, if you could spotlight me, I think I took a picture of the same bird and actually. Let me just get a little closer.
Oh,
I'm just gonna get a little closer, and then I'll get right back to you.
okay. We'll go back to Basil right now.
Yes, I'm going to walk as slowly as I can, as quietly as I can.
Trying to get a little quiet.
Yeah.
We have a question. We have a question from a question. It says, how many gallons of wastewater does the Joint Water Pollution Control Plant purify each day? So on average, the JWPCP, as its shorter name, it cleans about 385 gallons, MGDs, million gallons a day. So that's about to fill up a Rose Bowl every single day.
I got a picture of it.
We also have a question that says, can I ask about your setup to get live on Zoom? Was it a DSLR camera with cable to what device?
Oh yeah, it's a DSLR. It's a Canon Rebel. Hold on. It's a DSLR Canon Rebel T6, and I use an HD.
Oh my gosh!
Oh,
What was that?
Those sound like Canada geese.
All right. If you zoom in, I have it.
Oh, is that the Canada geese?
Yeah, that's a Canada goose right there.
Let me zoom in. There you guys have it, the Canada goose. Should I zoom in its little head a little bit more? Yay.
Sorry, Genesis, we have another question. It says it's the DLSR cable to computer. What was it that you said right after?
Oh, it's the HDMI to USB connector. And I just use that adapter to connect to my computer and to connect to my Canon Rebel T6 via HDMI.
Another question we have right now is, what districts and corresponding jurisdiction within Los Angeles County does this facility operate under? Put it back to Basil.
So we're sanitation district. We provide wastewater treatment for 78 of the 88 cities in LA County. We're a special district, and the mayors of each of those cities sit on our various boards of directors. And so if you live in any of those 78 cities or unincorporated area, we serve you. Did I answer that question? I'm trying to whisper because I don't want the Canada geese to fly away. Nathan, are these migratory birds?
Usually, you wouldn't see as many Canada geese in Southern California as you would in like the Midwest or the East. Usually they go north in the summer. You tend to see more Canada geese around here in the wintertime, like some, but I have seen a few in the summertime that actually stay around.
So now we've come to the water part. Can we take a look at the water part of the marsh?
I think Basil's a little scared to interrupt the
Yeah, I don't want them to fly away. I feel very honored that they're sticking around, but I will try to pan out to the water park and hope that they don't leave. Can you see the water park? Anything you want to add on this, Maria? And if you notice that I'm whispering because I'm literally about
I'll whisper too.
20 feet from. No, you're good. I'm because they can't hear your voice. I'm on my wireless speakers.
So here we're here in the marsh, and one of the popular questions we get asked is what kind of fish do we have here? We don't have any large fish. We have mosquito fish, and that actually helps keep. I mean, there's very little to none mosquito population here because the mosquito fish eats the larvae. But what's really cool here is that we see the tules and the rushes, and those are these the tall. You see see them coming up from the ground. That's the kind of vegetation that we have here. Tules have been adapted to live in water. So whereas normally plants soak up oxygen from like the soil, from the roots, the tules actually absorb the oxygen from the stalk part. So they can survive up to 2 feet in water, and then they stick up, which is awesome. I mean, besides animals using them for nesting, they also, like Native Americans, they've used them historically for like to build baskets or roofs. So very, very, I mean, we just see it here, but it has functional purpose as well.
And our Canada geese, they're sticking around. I guess they like this tour. And then as we go across the bridge,
that's a red-shouldered hawk.
Coots. Where? Oh, the
Look,
noise.
follow the current.
Or those are coots in the water, and I don't mean it. No, that's the name of the animal, not being derogatory. Can you see them flying across the water? Genesis, could you get a closer picture of I think they're coots, and they,
Yeah.
correct me. Can you hear the coots? This is the only time you can say coot without.
The birds in the background are red-shouldered hawks. Not in the
that's making
the sound wise.
Yeah,
The one that's going screeching. Yeah.
Do we have a picture to spotlight, Genesis? Because we have a couple questions.
Of the American coot? Hold on one second. Can you guys hear that?
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna spotlight you right. Oh my gosh, look at that. How cool.
They have their heads in the water right now, but let's see. That's an American coot, right, Nathan?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome.
Miss.
Awesome. Okay, we're gonna replace the spotlight with.
Basil's still scared to walk through the
It's okay. Let's answer. Let's answer. We have a couple questions open. Let's see how we do. All right, Basil, what are the annual budgetary costs to operate and maintain this facility?
I don't have. I don't have the numbers.
Okay, I'll look into that right now, and I'll put it on the chat. The second question is, how does the wastewater enter into the facility? I think that's a point that needs to be explained further. Do you want to take it up, or do you want me to address it?
Yeah, so the water you're seeing here does not come from the wastewater treatment plant. It comes from the flood control channel that's close by. Some of that water has been routed through here, gets cleaned up by the marsh, and then whatever's left over goes back into the flood control channel, and it's cleaner. So it's creating this habitat. This habitat's cleaning that water, and then it gets uh, released downstream. And if these geese would let me walk by, I could show you the inlet. But I'm going to go as close as I can, and I apologize if they fly away. Can you see them pretty closely, Maria?
Yeah,
I'm almost whispering. Pretty cool, huh?
awesome. I think this is the closest we've ever gotten.
I'm literally 6 feet or less from this bird. Uh-oh. They don't like this. That's a great question, JR. Nathan, will they attack?
They can.
Uh-oh.
I've never been attacked,
All right.
but they can be aggressive if they want, when they want to be. So,
They're not budging, and I'm literally trying to go across the bridge. All right,
Robin
I'm just
says
gonna
run,
mind
they'll
my own
chase you away.
business. All right, I'm gonna walk by, and hopefully one sticks around. This is the more aggressive of the two. Genesis, don't follow me because I think you'll.
given the way they're behaving, I wouldn't be surprised if they're breeding, but I'm not totally sure if whether they breed in this area, but I suspect that's why they're so sticking to that one location.
Someone asked if they
Yeah,
have a
and
nest, if they have a
they
nest
might have a
nearby.
nest in the bulrush and the tulies. Do you think that's possible?
For sure, because a lot of times when I come here, I see a lot of baby ducklings.
Okay, so they might have a nest here, and again, it's a good indicator the fact that they want to make their home here. And you can see all the tulies along the banks, these tall plants. And as Maria says, what makes them unique is that their root zone can go like 2 feet down, but they still can survive because they get oxygen from the top of the plant and they bring it down almost like a straw. Most plants get their oxygen through their root zone. All right, I'm going to try to speed this up. I'm very happy we had the Canada geese visit us, and that's the kind of wonders you find at the marsh when you come. You never know what you'll find here. But what I want to show you is the inlet. Someone asked about the water source. I'm going to speed it up a little. How are we doing on time?
It is 8:38.
Oh no, not good. As we walk through, you notice the California brittle bush here. But what I want to show is where the water comes in. And if Genesis catches up to me, and can you see across the water body, there's like a concrete structure. Up high is the flood control channel, and then an inlet right past the tulies. And this is about as close as I can get. And maybe Genesis, when she gets here, she has a lot more equipment than I do. So this is where the water comes in from the storm drain. And then it just meanders through and it gets cleaned and it creates this wonderful habitat that Canada geese and Cooper hawk and Genesis, could you take a shot of the inlet for the water?
On my way.
So once it comes in here, it kind of just, the schematic we showed you earlier. All right, I'm gonna, it then flows through, meanders through.
Okay, I'm gonna spotlight Genesis so we can see.
It's covered by the tulies, so you can't really see much.
We can't see it yet.
And there's a lot of light, so I need to switch to Manual. But if you notice, there's a lot of, probably not a good photo since I'm using a bird lens. I can't really get a good
But
photo of
zoom
it.
in, can we see it?
Okay, I'm gonna spotlight her right now. Hold on.
Okay.
Okay, so if you notice in that picture, there's a little bit of concrete behind the tulies. That's exactly where the water's in. Yeah, there's a little, you could barely make out like a circular opening, and that's where the water's coming in.
Okay, we have some questions from Mitch. It says,
Okay.
I assume the main facility there processes sewage or just storm drains. And then the second follow-up
Okay.
question is, where does the water go back out to the flood control after the process?
Okay, so the water in the marsh comes from the flood control channel, and we clean that up. And the treatment plant handles sewage, wastewater, and that's separate. None of that water ever comes here. What happens to that water? It goes through two tunnels that were built in 37 and 58, and we're currently discharging that clean water a mile and a half shore. That water has historically been too salty for reuse, but the economics are changing that we're now working on a demonstration project with the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California to clean up that water. And if that demonstration project goes well in terms of getting all the regulatory approval, and Metropolitan Water District gets approval from their board, it could lead to a full-scale water purification project at the joint plant, JWPCP. And that could be 10, 11 years down the road, 12 years down the road. But our desire, our hope, our aspiration is to clean that water up and reuse it in semi-arid Southern California. So we're working on it as we speak.
The second question was, does the water go to the flood control district after the process?
Yes. So if it comes in, and if maybe in the summer months it's so hot that you get percolation, but you also get evaporation, and if the evaporation rate is so high, maybe not much leaves here, but especially during the winter months and the spring, water comes in and water goes out. I hope that answers your question. And here's another pavilion. Go ahead.
No, Claire had a question. It says, do female and male geese look the same?
That's a Nate question.
Canada geese, yes. Other geese, I'd have to look.
So here's one of our pavilions. I'm going to use the word dormant. This is California grape. It's dormant right now, but when we come back in the summer, it'll be teeming with.
Oh, did you bring up the little markings in wood?
Oh yeah, can you zoom in? Can you
on the wood?
On the wood, yeah. So we have the wood here. These are recycled eucalyptus trees from what the marsh used to look like. But we could see these. So we see these horizontal lines, but we also see these thick. You can run your finger, like they're kind of like horizontal line. Yeah, those right there. Yeah. So does actually have a really interesting story. Those are actually they kind of like signal the life cycle of the beetle bark beetle. I can't remember. So what happens is that it's the life cycle of the bark beetle. So the larvae eat the wood, and as it it travels around and it eats, it leaves behind those patterns, those beautiful patterns that we see now. There we go. There we see some more right now. They're like horizontal. You could see them. Cool.
Yeah, I just wanted to get the feeling of being inside the pavilion. And there's another educational area, and this area deals with the wildlife in the wetlands. You can see that.
So we have a comment. Is it saying the Cooper's call that we've been hearing? Is it, hey humans, go away, or more like, hey girl, how you doing?
Again,
Not an
that's
expert in, I know, Nathan. Somebody help.
Is that, hey?
Honestly, I feel like I'm getting beyond my expertise sometimes on some of these questions.
And you can say, I don't know.
I don't
Um,
know.
I would
A
say
little hummingbird. And those
both.
are,
Well, I mean they do call to communicate, but yes, they definitely will. If you're bothering them, they will start calling more. I have been.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
was.
we're not. What was that?
Sorry, that was my baby. You guys go ahead.
I thought it was a
Well,
Cooper sauce.
I
Okay.
had been attacked by a Cooper's hawk before, and that wasn't pleasant. But that was just walking around at University of California at Riverside, and um, so they're very aggressive during breeding season.
Is it breeding season now?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because one of the things about this tour this morning, a lot of areas are cordoned off, and I'm up close. I think on a brittle, California brittle bush again for you. Yeah, a
Yes.
lot of the areas have the it's good. Are cordoned off, and it's usually indication of um, nesting. Yeah, like the first pavilion we went to, I couldn't get within 10 feet of it. And then
ooh,
those two Canada geese. So I'm going to start heading back.
a little
So
hummingbird in
you can,
action.
okay, Genesis
Does
found
anyone know what
something.
kind of hummingbird that is?
You want to share your screen?
Yeah. Okay, I zoomed in all the
Here.
way. Nathan, do you know what that is?
I'm not certain, but I'll guess Anna's hummingbird.
Anna's hummingbird?
Yeah.
Okay, if anyone know or anyone wants to agree to that one, you can put it in the chat. And then I saw there's this other one. Hold on, let me just zoom out.
It may not be an Anna's hummingbird. It might be an Allen's hummingbird
And
as
what about
well.
this one?
That one's definitely a yellow-rumped warbler.
Oh, it's in, wow, there are a lot of them here today.
Yeah, these ones are going to change significantly in the next 2 months, and they're right now this is winter plumage. There'll be a really bold black and white and yellow in a couple months. They'll molt and they'll start coming north. This bird is one of the most common. It's probably the most common bird in the winter, or one of them. But in the summer, I have never seen one. So they're extremely good about getting out of Southern California, moving north during the winter. I mean during the summer.
Awesome. All right, back to you, Basil. Oh, what's the name of it again?
Yellow rumped warbler.
I'll put it here on the chat. Yellow.
There are a lot of birds here and they're just so fast. So at the end, I'll post all the photos that I took today, this morning.
We have a question.
Yeah,
It's
we're going to
saying,
wrap.
one more question, please. This says, does the park ranger have to intervene against destructive species like roof rats? They're endemic to the region.
What we do, part of what we do routine maintenance of the marsh. We'll have a crew that comes out, looks for invasive species, and we periodically remove them. We also cut back on the tules. Yeah, so that's what we do to make sure that it never gets overrun by invasive non-native species. That answers the question. I hope they're enjoying the view. I'm enjoying the view.
All right, well, I think that, do we have any other questions? Let's give some people a chance to ask.
Yeah, and I'm gonna head back out. So you got a
I've,
little taste of Bixby Marsh. Go ahead, Marie.
yeah, I was gonna say that I've put a link to our YouTube channel on the chat. So if you want to check our today's tour will be posted there later today. You can check past tours, and the sanitation districts does many tours. You can email us at info@lacsd.org if you're interested in this tour for your school or organization. That right now.
And I would say that if you come, I mean, if you're a birder, this is an amazing tree.
There
In
we go.
December, I think they did the local Audubon Society did their bird count. They found 78 different species here. And I'm seeing a leaf that Genesis took, I guess.
It's our moment of nature.
Okay.
Beautiful. Oh, one of the questions we are getting right now. Okay, we got a lot. So they're saying, are there other small bug eaters at Bixby?
Yes, there are a lot of insects, bees, dragonflies, and one of our earlier virtual tours, we had a naturalist that she had the camera that can zoom in on a lot of the dragonflies and the bees.
She's a photography expert.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, Nathan, actually, we do like Christmas bird counts every year. Nathan, do you remember some of the birds that they found here when they do their count?
Yeah, I could give you a whole list of like winter birds and summer birds.
No, but the ones from the
The
list.
yeah, like wintertime. I don't remember the list, but the wintertime species are there'll be white-crowned sparrows, common yellow throats. Let's see, uh, American goldfinches, lesser goldfinches, black phoebes, sage phoebes. There's almost all the time there's blue-gray gnatcatchers. When you start, I think this winter there was a really good bird called the Lucy's warbler, which is more of a southwestern species. The only time I ever saw one was in like Arizona, so that was a rare bird. As you get into the next couple of months, as the migrants come through, there will be Townsend's warblers and black-throated gray warblers and Wilson's warblers and yellow warblers. The summertime, there's almost definitely yellow warblers over near the inlet where the sycamores and tall trees are. There's definitely a lot of yellow warblers in there. So yeah, you get a mixture of yeah.
And a quick question.
Oh,
This is a
really
quiz
big.
for folks. What kind of tree is this for the folks who were?
Oh yeah, if you were listening, you would know. Let's see.
Yeah, what tree?
I'll give
Put it
people
in
a
the
chance.
chat.
Yeah, put it in. Oh, some questions that came up are people allowed to picnic here? Oh, yay, Karen got it right. Tory Pine, woohoo.
Very good, Karen. You're paying attention.
There was a question, yeah, the picnics.
What do you, yeah, I mean, what's the answer, Maria?
Well, if
Yeah.
if Bixby Marsh was open to the public, it's an open house. You just show up and you can definitely enjoy your picnic. We have the gazebos and the benches. You can definitely eat there. I would not recommend you feed the animals though. But unfortunately, the Bixby Marsh is closed to the public right now. And I've put in the chat, I'll put it again. The link to our website will probably be announcing it. Once we do reopen, we'll post it there as well. The second question we have was, if I ride my bicycle to this facility, can I walk it along the path or do I have to lock it up to a hitching post to it, those little poles? I want to say you can ride it through the pathway as long as you stay on the pathway.
You can walk it
Okay.
through.
Sometimes, I mean, there'll always be at least 2 docents here on site. So a lot of times people like to leave their bikes so that they can focus on taking pictures or watching with their binoculars.
Thank you.
I don't know if you
I just
can
saw it.
notice this nest.
I took
There's
a
a big-
picture of it. If you want to
That
spotlight it.
nest.
I'm going right now. Hold on.
Now, I'm not sure what kind of nest this is, but it literally looks like a giant football. Like maybe multiply a football times 2. I don't know if you have any guesses. Nathan, could it belong to that bird that we saw at the beginning?
That's probably the Cooper's hawk nest.
Yeah, it's pretty ginormous. I wonder how many eggs fit in there. And I've been waiting to see if any little bird pops in or pops out, because sometimes they do, but I haven't seen anything.
Okay, sorry guys. Just to wrap it up, we have 2 more open questions and we're getting
Go
close
ahead.
to time. The first question is, what natural ecosystem services does the Arcata wastewater treatment facility use that potentially that potentially lessens the environmental impact on native habitats while purifying their wastewater.
Repeat it. I didn't understand the part.
What natural ecosystem services does the Arcata wastewater treatment facility use that potentially lessens the environmental impact on native habitats while purifying their wastewater? Well, I was just gonna mention that Arcata wastewater treatment facility, we cannot speak for them. They're not us, but the sanitation districts always strives to be a good neighbor, which includes minimizing any impact on any habitat. I don't know if you want to add to that, Basil.
Yeah, what I would add is that our treatment process is basically what occurs in nature. We just sped it up. The same microorganisms that would live in a river or a lake that cleans wastewater we have in our treatment plant. And we clean up that wastewater in about 10 to 12 hours to make sure our rivers and oceans are protected. In the old days when people didn't live in cities, rivers and oceans could handle wastewater and clean it up. But with the advent of cities, the amount of wastewater we generate as a society overwhelms rivers and oceans. And so these treatment plants allow us to continue to protect and preserve these water bodies. And
Thank you.
I'm heading back to the parking lot.
Okay,
So,
we have a couple more questions, Basil. One question that came up is,
okay.
are there any more projects like Bixby Marshland by the sanitation districts?
I can't think I can't think of any right now.
I don't think we're not involved in any more wetland restoration projects, if you will, but the first thing that came to mind was the spreading basins, which are beautiful in their own way, and a lot of our recycled water goes there. These are spreading basins. They're beautiful. They're kind of near, where is it, Pico Rivera by Beverly and the 605. You see this lush landscape with water. It reminds me a lot of Bixby, but it's a different purpose. It's not a native habitat. And second question is, what
I
is
have another one.
Oh, sure.
I have to remember it, but in Lancaster, Paiute ponds.
Oh yeah.
We don't
Oh, that's
operate
right.
Paiute ponds, but the treated wastewater from the Lancaster water reclamation plant discharges into a wetlands that is on the property of Edwards Air Force Base, and they
yeah, that's a great. I totally forgot.
Completely,
Yeah,
I know.
so
Great call.
our water from the Lancaster plant supports Paiute Pond. That's a 400-acre wetland, and it's on Edwards Air Force Base. You have to contact the base, but you can get a tour of that facility, or you can take tours of that facility. It's pretty spectacular, especially during migratory bird season. Yeah, great recollection. They totally love that. Yeah, and it's been there for a while. It's an important stopping ground for migratory birds, Paiute ponds, and it's supported mainly with water from our Lancaster water reclamation plant. And it's at the northern end of the county, right at the county line on Edwards Air Force Base.
Two more questions, Basil. Was one, did you ever find the budgetary cost to operate and maintain the facility? If you're interested in that, can you please send me a message with, or a private message with your email, and I'll go ahead and email it back. But if you turn into our next tour, which will be on the first Saturday of April, I will be sure to have an answer ready for you. One last question is, what is your personal favorite area of the marsh?
Mine, it's the bridge. I could just stand there and just watch the birds play in the water, like we just saw right now with the you basically got my perspective as I walk through the marsh, for good or for worse. Yeah, my favorite is that area. I don't know what Genesis or Maria or Nathan's favorite area
is the parking lot that we're at right now, because you kind of see all these different kind of trees around you, and so you really see a whole bunch of birds flying from tree to tree, and that's usually where I get most of my photos. Yeah, second to the bridge, of course, but it's actually really cool, and this is where I've seen the most nests, it's by the parking lot.
Yeah, there's a bunch of nests here right now. And Maria, what's your favorite part of Bixby?
I don't know if it's my favorite part, but I like to stand in front of the gazebo and listen to the birds. I don't, that's just me. Sit down and try to hear the little birds.
And also, I just want to say, we'll be posting all the photos that I took this morning, right? So if you follow us on Facebook, then you'll get to see what I took that I wasn't able to share on the spot.
Yes, I'll go ahead and put our Facebook posts, our links to our Facebook and Instagram on the chat. So if you want to check out the pictures, we'll be sure to come back. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us just to get a little taste of Bixby Marshland.
Thank you
Can't
so
wait
much.
to have you back in person. Have a great day.
And
Thank
hopefully
you.
for next month, a lot of the flowers will have bloomed, a lot more flowers, so it'll look even nicer. See you later. Can't wait to see you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Take care.
Goodbye.
Bye.